Welcome back to Marriage Hot Takes. Thanks for taking a little time to join us today. I'm your host, Aaron Degler, along with my wife, Kim. Each week, we like to come and share a little of our successes and failures over the last 22 years. We like to each week leave you with a hot take to take into your marriage, to take into your relationship. That our hope is that it really just starts a conversation, starts a dialogue, because sometimes when we stop having those conversations, whether they're good or bad, is when we begin to have some real issues. So we always want to engage in that conversation. We want to help you start engaging in that conversation, because we think they're fun topics, and they're really things that
They're not always fun topics.
they're not always
Sometimes
fun
they're hard.
topics. Some of them are hard.
Yeah.
And some of them have made us talk more, because
Yes.
we have a topic, and then we have to kind of yes, it's not scripted,
Yes.
but we do talk through it previously, kind of
Mhm.
some ideas. And then sometimes, in some of our episodes, we flesh it all out right here, and then we have some revelations while we're doing it. Go, oh, that
Oh,
may not been
I
right.
I see why that's been working like that
Yeah. So sometimes you're watching us
in
grow
real
in
time.
real time. And again, it's because of conversations we're having,
Yes.
that this kind of, I don't want to say forces us, but encourages us
Mhm.
to have those conversations.
Because believe it or not, we do have a lot of these conversations just at the breakfast table
We do.
after breakfast.
We
So
do. And sometimes, I mean, a Saturday morning breakfast can be a couple hours because
it
we have those
could turn into
conversations.
brunch.
It could turn into brunch. Like, let's eat again.
Yep.
Uh, so today, I want to talk about your car.
Mhm.
Your
Not
car,
yours.
your car drives me nuts
It does. I know it
because
does, but I sure love her.
I'm an awesome driver.
He's a terrible driver. He's the worst, probably one of the worst drivers.
It's not necessarily a bad drive. I just can't stay in the lines.
Which would constitute a bad driver, because that's the biggest part of driving.
Well, maybe that's true.
I'm just going to
I've
say,
only, I,
if the same state trooper has pulled you over 4 times
hmm.
or more, and now just gets
Shout
out,
out to our Texas State troopers for keeping our roads safe.
yes, and now just gives you then it could be you. Could be you.
It could be you. Uh, my truck doesn't tell me when I'm over the line. Your car has a beeper
Mhm.
that is constantly going off because there must be a malfunction.
And
when
I could
drive your
turn it
car.
off for you, but I need you to know every time you go over the line.
Beep beep, beep beep, beep beep. Again, her car is fancier than my truck, so it also, um, if you're turn on your turn signal, or even if you're not turning on turn signal, it has that little yellow light
Uh-huh.
that says there's somebody or a
Uh-huh.
car in your blind spot. My
Mhm.
truck doesn't
Mhm.
have that. It says good luck.
And it does also have the feature where it will keep you in your lane, but we turned that off.
Yes, because then it'd be constantly jerking us.
Yeah. Whiplash.
Because of car malfunctions.
Yeah.
Can't be my driver.
No.
Can't be.
Yeah.
But it signals the blind spot.
Yes.
In your car. And
There's
it's
a
bigger
car here, dummy.
Yeah,
Look.
it's a big car.
Yeah.
So SUV, I don't guess you call it a car.
Yeah,
Vehicle.
it's an SUV. It's a vehicle.
But anyhow, Ukraine, you can't see all the way back there. So the little, and a lot of vehicles have them now.
Yeah.
The little blind spot signal.
Mhm.
And when you're in traffic or when you're not paying attention and you
It's
go,
very helpful.
it's very helpful, very helpful. And we're like, oh, thank goodness
you
for that.
Goodness, if that hadn't have done that, I probably would have hit that car.
I probably would have had a wreck.
Yeah.
It could have been bad.
Yes.
But thank goodness for that little blinking
Numerous
yellow light
times.
that it has saved a life.
Yeah.
Or saved from having an accident. But do we do the same in our marriages? In other words, all of us have blind spots.
And by blind spot, do you mean a weakness?
I think it's, uh, that's a good question.
Thanks.
Why didn't you ask that before we
I
started?
don't
So
know.
I could think about that.
Because sometimes we just come up with the idea and go, yeah, we'll work that out.
Yeah.
How do you feel? How did you, when we discussed this, how did you view the blind spot of your own blind spot?
So I viewed it as something necessarily we don't see. But you're right. It could be a weakness. I mean, I think because sometimes we don't see our own weaknesses,
Right.
so I think it could be a weakness.
Hmm.
Because I think blind spot is um, something that maybe you don't see that needs to be worked on. So it could be a weakness.
So, I mean, we won't call each other out, but like if you were to be your own blind spot beeper, so that I have a better example, what, I mean, like for real, I'm being for real. Like, what would that blind spot be?
So we'll go with kids.
Okay.
So sometimes my tone isn't always the best with our
Well,
kids.
you wouldn't have to do that with just kids. That could be with numerous
I know, but
situations.
but
But
I'm just saying with
yes,
our. I mean, if you're
yes,
asking for a specific
of
example
specific,
of a
yeah,
blind spot,
to
and,
where I have to
and
then,
there's times after I get done with the conversation or saying something, you go,
your
"Hey,
tone,
your tone or the way you came across wasn't the most effective."
yeah, maybe down, bring it
And
down.
and so kind of the thought is that when you tell me, I'm like, well, I mean, I don't always have to be nice to them, and I kind of get irritated at you
I see, yeah,
for pointing out my blind spot.
because I said, look at your blind spot
Yes,
before you mowed over someone.
before I mowed over our kids and said, "Hey, dum dum,
Yeah,
pay attention."
yeah.
Um, when in the car we look at it and go, "Oh man,
Ooh, thank goodness.
thank goodness that saved me."
Thank you.
So what would be yours?
I'm so perfect that it would be so hard for me to come up with something. Probably, uh, well, back in the day, we used to play good cop, bad cop. And
Hmm.
I was always the bad cop,
Hmm.
always. So I would lose my temper fast.
But that was back in the day. I was kind of thinking about most
Like
recently
this
about
week.
as well, not even
Uh,
this week, but as we mature into a new season
yeah.
um, of
You would have to help me because so
because it's so blind you don't even see it
it is
um,
so blind.
sometimes.
What do I not see sometimes?
So I think sometimes your blind spot, and it's maybe it's not um, like between us,
Right.
but maybe your blind spot sometimes is when people ask you to do things,
Oh yeah.
and you're really quick to go no, or
We'll
you're
see.
real quick to say you're real quick. The only thing you're real quick to say, let me check on that.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you.
I'll check on that. I
And then
have
in
some,
two
and
days,
actually, while people are watching this, they could probably be like this. I'm still waiting on her to check on that.
yes.
Yeah, that's probably true. That is true. I won't say it's probably true. I do like to just say, we'll check on it. Used to with the kids, it would be, we'll see.
Yes.
Now it's, let me check on that. And that just means I need some time.
And so usually you won't tell me anybody has said anything because you don't want to
And a
need to
lot,
point out the blind spot.
yeah,
Say, look,
yeah. And a lot of times my friends will just come to you first to say, we're going to go do this. And
and I'll usually say, yes, you'll be there.
yes.
And then I'll have to work on getting you into position where there's not no longer a blind spot.
Yeah. That's accurate. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do hate that, but that process for me is a whole lot that goes into that as far as, it puts me on the spot when somebody says, "Do you want to go do this?" Um and there's a whole lot of things that go through my head at that time that instead of me trying to explain all that to a person, the easiest answer is for me to say, "Yeah, I'll check on that." And then I have some time to think through it
And then say no,
and then say no.
which is really what you want to say in the first place.
Yeah. So now sometimes I just say, I don't think I want to do that.
And so I think part of me helping you point out the blind spot is when you tell me, it's like, well, you don't really want to do that. So why are
Right.
you working on trying to decide if you were going to because you don't even want to?
Yeah. For example, last week when I got asked to go to an event and it was making me real nervous, and you could see that it was an immediate nervous reaction about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to come up with any other way out of that I could, instead of just saying, yeah.
And you would tell me
Well,
all the real
actually, I
reasons.
left it open. I just left the question out until it came again.
So they had to double text you.
Yes. Until you finally just said, if you don't want to go, don't make yourself miserable today and for the next 2 weeks until it happens. Just say, I can't handle that, which is what I did. Yeah. So, yeah.
And sometimes that is the blind.
Yeah. Because I can't, I mean, honestly, at that time, I can't see that's what is happening. Like, I really don't see that until I realized, oh, yep, that's me.
That's really happening.
Yeah.
And I think I think a blind spot for me, even more than just our kids, maybe between um, us. And I think sometimes, you try and I get irritated. You like, if I've said a lot of words or done, my brain's a little stressed, and so I have a tendency to talk less when I get home, and I don't really notice it.
Yeah,
because it's just me, and you're trying to talk to me
because I've talked to no one all
yeah,
day.
and trying to engage in conversation, and I'm just like, yeah, no, and I don't really realize it until you say
until
something.
I say, are you mad at me?
And
Because
I'm
that's
like,
normally a daily ask.
but it's not because I always don't talk.
No, it's just that's my personality, is to always think someone's mad at me. So in my mind, I think, why wouldn't you want to talk to me? So if you're not, that probably means, I mean, I think I've gotten better at that. But I will say, I do understand that you have all the words all day long. And I have come to understand that more. I'm much more understanding about that than I used to be.
Yes.
And I do let you take that minute when you get home, and I try to let you lead that direction in the way that are we going to talk, or is this one of those days that we probably just need to be like, you eat your supper and I watch you? To kind of gauge how it's going to be, just because while I haven't spoken to anyone since I left the gym that morning, because I'm just here, you've spoken to everyone and given classes and done all of this. So I think, and we have always laughed about this, to where we do compare it to the country music song Friday Night Blues.
To where about dancing.
Yeah, she's ready. I mean, she's getting ready on a Friday, which is always my day to get ready. Like, you will always see me on Friday, have my hair fixed and makeup on.
So that's why we might record these on Fridays.
That's right, because she's gonna be ready. But because in my mind, I know we're not going anywhere, but there's always the little hope that, like, maybe we will. It's Friday night. To where he, in the song, is worked all week and he just wants to come home and sit in his chair. And I think at this, we do compare that and laugh a lot about. That's how we can talk about how less you want to talk and how much I have to say, and we just have to give it this.
But she don't want to go out in a group and talk.
No, no, do not get me in a group. I don't want to do that. Don't feel sorry for me and ask me to go out, because I'm going to say, we'll have to see about that.
We'll have to see about that.
Because I'm not going to go.
And all the different things we talk about, I always want to make sure that probably think one way or the other about it. But as we talk about things, we share about things about our relationship. That's our relationship.
It's our experiences.
And that's what works for us. The things we do for each other, we talk to each other about. That works for us. And the challenge is to find what works for each of you, whether it's the things you do for each other, those things, find what works, which is important. And really, when we talk about the blind spot really becomes the ownership of appreciating the blinking light comes on us as we notice the blinking light, because we never get mad at the blinking light on the car that says there's another vehicle right beside you. We don't go, I can't believe that light's going off again. But we do say, I can't believe she's telling me that again, or he's telling me that again. Instead we go, Thank goodness. I mean, that could have saved me from saying something I would regret. To
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's even to him or her, because hey, when you get really upset, you say things you don't really mean, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a blind spot,
Right.
and that can be a very harmful blind spot that can cause the fatality of your marriage.
Honestly.
Um,
So that little beep, beep, beep is just a nice little warning sign to be like, I need to watch that.
mhm. And it's on us to how do we take that, but again, it's on the other too to
How you deliver that.
How's that expressed? Yes.
I mean, if I were to deliver it to you all the time like this, you never want to talk to me when you get home at night, ever. You never have words to say, or your tone was terrible. You've got to be better about that. That's not going to go well, even
No.
though it might bring those things out to you. It's not, you're not going to receive them well because it was not delivered well.
Hmm.
To where if I were to say, I know you had a lot of words that you spoke today, and I know that was a lot. I'm so sorry that you had to speak all those words, but man, it's been quiet here today. I mean, that would be delivered a little more gently.
And it becomes a responsibility of each of us too to know the other person. How do they best hear that message?
Mm-hmm.
What are the words they saying mean? It's cueing in on the words, the tone, the body language.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be very aware, intentional, and aware of the other person. And because I mean, if you're married, you should know the other person really well.
Mm-hmm.
You should know their mannerisms. You should know
You should pick up on all their cues,
all their things. And sometimes we don't pick up on certain ones, and that could be a blind spot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you have a conversation about that blind spot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a manner, and it's delivered and received in a manner that's like, oh, I'm so glad I recognize that blind spot, and that didn't cause us to weave off the road or to
into
hit
a
that
big
barrier.
crash.
Because just like when you have a big crash, there's sometimes time to recover. Sometimes you walk away with a few scrapes. Sometimes you walk away with a broken leg, some gashes,
Very
some
wounded.
stitches, very wounded. That even after those wounds heal, there's scars left.
Mm-hmm.
That if we just heeded the beep beep, we could have saved all those.
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have to see those scars.
And it's one of those times where you're both in the car, and it takes both of you. And it's the same as if I'm going to get over, and you go, hey, there's a car back there. Would you just mind your own business?
I was ready to hit it.
Yeah. That's really what we're saying.
Yeah.
Because again, if we're both riding the car, I may be the driver, but we're still both eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We're still both looking out for the safety of our drive.
Yeah.
Same thing with our marriage. We're both looking out for the safety of it. And to keep it between the lines, to keep in the direction we're going, on the path we're going. And so it's just a challenge to be appreciative of your spouse bringing up your blind spot, the same as we're appreciative when the beep beep goes off on the car. Mm-hmm. Because what's it called on a car? It's called a safety feature. Mm-hmm. Blind spot beeping in your marriage is a safety feature.
Right.
Is to keep everything.
To prevent the crash.
Mm-hmm. To prevent the fatality, potential fatality, or deeply wounded, deeply scarred marriage.
Right.
It is a safety thing.
It's a safety thing. It's a safety feature.
Safety feature. Thank you.
And the delivery of that is what matters.
Yes.
The way you're delivering that to your spouse.
Because why don't they put a red blinking light? Because your brake lights are red.
Right. To say stop.
Because red we signify with stop. Mm-hmm. Don't go any further.
Whereas this is yellow to warn you, hey, easy there, Tiger. Slow your roll.
Yeah, back over. Don't go over there yet.
Yep, not time.
Just hang on. Mm-hmm. And then what happens when that car passes?
Then it's free and clear.
Yep. Then
you can get on over.
You can get on over. And as always, we do have a hot take for our blind spot,
We do.
the one and only thing scripted.
That's correct. You're grateful when your car signals a blind spot, but are you grateful when your spouse signals your blind spot?
So, attitude of gratitude.
Mhm.
We should treat our spouses pointing out our blind spot, sharing our blind spot, the same as we are so grateful for that yellow blinking light that shows us our blind spot and prevents our crash, our wreck, our wounds, our scars. All of those things we're thankful for, and we need to be grateful for our spouse to pointing out, but also as a spouse, being grateful in the way you deliver it.
Right.
Deliver that warning.
Right.
Time.
Not just the red stop, blinking stoplight.
Red blink blink
Aggressiveness.
It is a warning.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hope that this conversation would start a conversation with you and your relationship about maybe some blind spots, some warning spots, and how we communicate that, how we signal those blind spots with those warning lights. So, as always, thank you so much for joining us on this week's Marriage Hot Takes. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Kim.
And we'll see you next time right here on Marriage Hot Takes.